and what did that involve? How did that happen? Who was instrumental in that process for you?
Okay. That one is going to be kind of difficult to pin it down to one person, but there has to be someone to have kind of either made some contact with me or gave me direction on how to do it. But I was talking, and one of my philosophies is that these things don't just happen. They happen when, first of all, the person it's going to happen to is motivated to do that thing. And secondly, there has to be some combination of events that make these things possible. Now, I think desire is first. That's the first thing. Apparently, I had the desire to do these things outside of the classroom music teacher. So that led me to. I'm searching for a person or a group of people that would, because we need to move from the Alexandria city environment to a much larger environment here in DC. And I'm having trouble, but I'm going to think. Hopefully, I'll have it. I would like to bridge that gap. I tell a lot of my students when they talk about how they have made it in life, sort of on their own, that's not true, because you had a Patterson in your life just like I did, you know. So there's someone who has kind of made things open for you. But the opening was the Howard Theater. That was the thing that really set me apart from most of the other things that I was doing musically, because I always played in bands like R&B bands, rhythm and dance groups like Bobby Feller's band. I always played in groups like that. From once I left Virginia State, always, had a somewhere to play with these, and it was financial, that my involvement with those bands were possible. But there was a band, one of them had one of the Courtneys that I knew in Alexandria, Courtney Brooks. He had Courtney Brooks had been with the R&B artist that wore a turban. That now there's probably several of them, but this guy sang. He was a singer and a well known. You have to help me with that. He wore little. But it was somebody who made records. In fact, I had played with him at the Howard Theater. Courtney Brooks played drums with him. Now, to play at that level, he was really, otherwise, he was just like regular community guy who loved music, and we kind of went to these jam sessions in Alexandria. But he got a band that, he put together an R&B band that played, we didn't play clubs, we played dances. That, and he got a lot of work playing in the area. And as far as way as Carr's Beach. You ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. Carr's Beach?
That's Annapolis, right?
Yeah. So
the Black Beach in Annapolis.
Right. So we played there, and maybe some things in town. He was probably the one who made it possible for other people to hear me play. And I was, again, that desire, I would like to be in another circle altogether. I don't want to, I can't afford to hamper my only stayed with me for a year. And I didn't teach jazz. We didn't teach jazz. He just taught the flute, And have you ever heard him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Play flute?
Yeah.
He's one of the best I've had. Mm-hmm. Now, there have been other flutes. I taught flute at Howard when I went to Howard. to a flute, among other things. But he and a couple others who Saiz's limitation was he didn't do the other stuff enough. Everybody else who came to study with me, that's all they did. I mean, they did saxophone. In fact, they were saxophone players, the way I was. And then you kind of branch off into it. But he, Gary Thomas took it to. He's probably one of the better students I've had. Now, some of my students will probably get upset with that. But
as far as the technique or the ability to improvise?
Technique. And well, both. They kind of go together. But he seems to have been able to. David Yarborough is quite good, too. They have, you marry those two. Not that you're going to do your most impressive stuff by playing a lot of notes, but those two are kind of go together, technique and improvisation. And the other thing about Thomas is that he his gift and concept of improvisation. But I wanted to have this opportunity to expose, to get involved in music outside of the public school. That made it possible. I think just the possible playing with this band, and that was probably my second or third year in Alexandria to get to be heard by other people. I can't remember exactly when, but it was pivotal, and I'll get it sometime especially after you ask me how these things come about. Because I don't think it's accidental. I don't think it just happens. You say, okay, you now have a job playing in the House Theater. Apparently, someone had heard me with Courtney's band, and I got a call to come and play with somebody else's band here in town. And Courtney used mostly DC musicians, not jazz musicians per se, but these guys played, at that time, R&B and swing stuff. He had a tenor player that I really would always try to steal his stuff, because he would play these old, not Less Young, but the other one we talk about, Coleman Hawkins and Ben Webster stuff. He would play that kind of stuff. And I would always try to steal his stuff. He said, man, you can't steal my stuff, man. But I did as much as I could. But he was...
In other words, if he heard you play something along those lines, he let you know.
Yes, sir. Hey.
You're stepping on the corns.
That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. But I think that connection, the connection that I made with him, and now this is kind of a step higher than the janitor who used to teach me in the basement. Mm-hmm. This is a step higher. These are people who play a lot more than my janitor friends around town. So I think my connection with them began to, and then my own desire. Especially, I already know what's going on here on U Street and Howard Theater, because we went to Howard Theater on a regular basis. I already know.
And you want to be there?
Oh, no question, no question. I don't know how I'm gonna get there. I don't know, but I said I sure would like to have. That's where I'd like to work. Well, I think over the years, and I'm doing this timeline here. We're talking about. I came back in the middle 50s, late middle 50s. So by the Howard Theater closed in 1968. So from 1955 to 1961 or 2, I had made enough connections, indirect connections, to have been hired by people in town here. And it's to play mostly to play in R&B bands, and the biggest one was Bobby Felder, and he heard me with one of these other kind of local bands, and so I got to work with him.
The king of the cabaret.
That's it, and that's what I did. I worked for 13 years with Bobby, doing just that, and plus, I mean, at that time, he would play 10 or 15 minutes of some kind of jazz stuff, and a lot of his clientele, expected to hear some jazz, and he would always want to show off to people who could do it. So that was my only connection, but there were other things that led me up to Bobby, but I think I've kind of hit sort of the places that I moved from this point to that point, and each point had some new demands on it, as far as playing is concerned. But the Howard Theater was the pivotal moment.
That led to Ninth Street.
Yes.
To the Hollywood to
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And so, you meet Calvin in the band,
yes.
and he's working, and that's how it kind of...
Absolutely.
Now, somewhere in here you're getting your master's, right?
Yeah. There's a lot going on here.
So we got school teaching.
Yeah.
Now, how could you teach school and do 3 shows a day at Howard?
Let me tell you how that happened. And again, nothing. I don't think it's accidental. We talk about racism and how difficult times and unfairness has. These things have made our lives so uncomfortable. I worked at the Howard Theater for 2 years. And I have a good, the process, the steps that it took to get there were fairly easy. Charlie Hampton had heard me with Courtney, one of these Courtneys that I told you about. And that's just before Bobby had also heard me. This is playing a dance, So I got that connection. Then Charlie Hampton wasn't a band leader, but he was playing in the band at the time. Segregation was ended in Alexandria. Finally, this was 1966 or something like that, where we were actually assigned to white schools. In other words, my teaching now, I have a white school on my schedule. I go to the school and ask tell the principal that I'm your new music teacher. I'm just coming to get my assignment. And she told me, okay, you sit over there, and I'll let you know when I'm ready to talk to you. So I sat there for 2 hours. The bitch never did come back to recognize I was sitting there, which was okay. And I went back and told my white supervisor what happened. So I said, this class is, I'm supposed to spend my afternoons there. She didn't want me there. That's for sure. So he said, well, she doesn't want you there. I guess, you just go back, you just go back. He didn't tell me to go home. Go back to your other school. Well, the other school didn't have anything because I had already done all the stuff that I was supposed to do at that school. At the same time, Charlie Hampton said, man, I'm going to get you in the Howard Theater Band. Because they got a 1 o'clock show. And that was the time I was supposed to be at this school. I did that 2 years. I was able to make the 1 o'clock show. Now, grant you, Howard Theater did not have shows every week. There may have been 2 shows a month, or 3 shows a month. But it was a lot. It was a lot, especially if you have a regular full-time job doing something else. I was able to leave the school where they didn't want me.
So in other words, they had shows, but not shows that always required the band.
Right.
There might have been a time when somebody came self-contained.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Or they'll come in with some instruments that you don't need to hire
the
local,
band.
freelancers. So it was not like a full-time.
By the way, was Mr. Dines at the Howard then?
I think so. I think so. Because when I got to Howard, he knew me. I think he was.
Okay.
I think he was. Was he the manager there or just the stage States.
Well, I know
I
that
don't
he
think
was
he
there
managed.
and actively working. I believe he managed the facility.
He could have been. He could have been. But I was able to start working. I came in, you know, obviously I didn't
So you
broadcast.
were doing like quadruple duty.
I did not. Sometimes I wonder now, you know, how did all this happen, you know? But I was also studying for my master's at the same time. Now, the segregated school system made a lot of this possible because they really didn't care what I was doing, as long as I didn't fool with them.
Right.
So I was able to finish my master's in at times when if anybody had really, you know, I should have been probably in somebody's white classroom, but they were probably just happy as long as you're not here. You can work, you can do whatever you like.
So they'll put up, they won't challenge it formally, but in substance, they're like, we ain't dealing with this.
Yep. Right.
Right. So we'll agree, you can come here, but when you come in the front door and go out the back door.
Quick, and just don't talk to us.
Right. Crazy.
I felt guilty first for a while, and I said, it's not my fault. I didn't set this up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't tell the people that I worked for, you know, what I was doing, but I took care of the black kids in the other school that I had to be at.
Mm-hmm.
I took care of them and did what they want, and again, I did not work every weekend at the house theater. So the weeks that I didn't work at the theater, I was able to do whatever extra I wanted to do with my students. So that made my schedule very flexible.
So you got your master's at Catholic?
The Catholic, yeah.
Now, somewhere in here you end up at T.C. Williams.
Yeah. Okay.
And that, I mean, something I read, I probably wrote, you probably told me the fact is why I included it in something that I wrote about you at one point, that you were there in the film, I think Remember the Titans,
Mm-hmm.
memorializes the period that you were at T.C. Williams.
Absolutely. What happened in this culture that we are part of is that certain opportunities are made available that either may not be warranted or that may not be logical. I was what I thought a very effective band director, band teacher, music teacher. And what they did was, they have gotten through most of the segregated situations because my last band, Parker Gray, was changed from a high school to a middle school. So now instead of Parker Gray High School, it's Parker Gray Middle School. And I had the middle school band at that time, and I was a band. It was high school the year before. The next year, it's middle school. A great school, great band, probably one of the best school bands I've ever had. And these were younger kids than I had been working with in high school. And I did that for 2 years. The end of my second year, they were saying, well, we've been looking at your work, and you know what? We'd like to make you assistant principal at T.C. Williams. So it kind of took me off. I was not quite ready to deal with that because it was something that I just could not imagine. And I had no desire for it. I didn't ask for it, and it was something that was really kind of out of the ordinary that I would want to do. Well, as it turned out, it was part of the whole political, cultural kind of pressure thing. The guy who was there, black guy, this was a black job. The guy who was there before me took another job in another county, and I was the next person they thought should have been there. No preparation as an administrator. No degree, in administration, and many times administrators are not formally trained to do their job, but all they knew was that I did well with students. I didn't have to work with teachers, but I did well with students, and I could always relate to students. Well, they thought that the school board thought that I would be an effective assistant principal. And I ended up there. And when I say ended up there, my last year, this is my 13th year at Parker Gray, in the Alexander systems. I ended up there my 13th year, and the reason I'm putting that emphasis on the 13th year because I didn't get to the 14th year in Alexandria. Out of political pressure, community pressure, so you got to do it if they ask you to do it. My community people are telling me that, and we're dependent on you to do that, to take over this job, because there's no other black person that we can find to do that. And that was really what they were saying. I'm not sure why I took it, but I took it. And my first day there, he knew, the principal that I was working with knew that I was an active musician. He said, now the first thing you got to do is stop playing them horns, because you can't be tooting them horns. You got to you got a lot of publicity, you got a lot of public meetings and a lot of public, and they're going to show their HNIC, to put you up.
We got one. Yeah, we got one.
So
Arthur.
So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to pay you all this money, but you got to let the music go first. So you can't do that. Even with that, I said, okay, well, I'll see. And I was thinking, first of all, it's going to be so gratifying that maybe I don't need to do music. I've never been without music before in my life. So I took the job, and as the months went by, on the 10th month, no, on the 6th, after 6 months, after the Christmas holidays, I'm thinking to myself, you got this is not going to work. I can't go back to the classroom. I don't know if they'll take me back. They probably would, but I'm thinking in my mind that they won't take me back to the classroom, because I just need to be doing what I do all the time. And his fate comes in again. I'm working with Bobby Felder, and UDC, not UDC, but Federal City is just getting started. He said, why don't you come with me and work with me at Federal City? So once he told me that, I went straight to Alexander and said, well, you got 13 years out of me. Mm-hmm. And I'd worked 1 year in Alexandria as assistant principal. It was tough. I mean, most of the discipline problems, the majority...
Was this the period of the actual integration of it?
The actual integration. It had been in existence 4 years prior to my getting there. There was another brother that was there before I got there. And the whole racial tension and everything was still there when I came in. There were many of the faculty and a lot of the students, did not really accept me as their being their boss.
So what you're saying is that at T.C. Williams, there was sort of a situation when they said, we're going to integrate the school, we're going to have a white principal and a black vice principal.
Because they wouldn't advertise that way.
But that's what it was.
But there were more. There were 3 white principals and 1 black. There were 3 assistant principals, let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. But you still represented the black kids. And in fact, the black kids, that was the only really thing that kept my interest, was making sure that I did everything I could for the black kids that were there. And the black kids, the school had over 3,000 students with 200 black kids. And as far as most of the people at the school, that they look at that as being a major source of problems. But I was able to kind of keep things, keep these kids in a situation where they at least had got some fairness.
Had a chance.
Yeah. But that was the last year in Alexandria. And the reason why it was the last year was, and partially me, saying that, yeah, I'll do this, and looking, you're looking at and something that might be quite interesting, but it was it was for me. So I left there and went with Bob, and of course Bob was glad to know, and I thoroughly enjoyed my 4 or 5 years. I taught at fellowship for 5 years. The next year after I left, 2 years after I left Alexandria, I got my PhD. 2 years later. So I stayed in school the whole time. So I finished that in
You were studying psychology?
yeah. I guess it was personal in the sense that my involvement. I started out as music education at Catholic Youth. The first teacher I had there told me he didn't know anything about me. All I knew was I was from Virginia State and very black. He said, "Well, you know, people who are not Catholic university students very seldom get higher than a C in this class." And he didn't. You have to be in a graduate school. You have to have at least a B. So I said to myself, not to him. I said to just, I'll take my C, but I'm gone. I'm not, I won't be able to handle this. So that's how I got into this field.
That's how you got out of music into psychology?
Yeah.
Why do you think he said that?
I think it was racist. In fact, I'm fairly sure it was racist. Because I had other people say, he said something very similar to many other black people that I knew who were there. Now most of them stayed. I would say the majority of them stayed, got the C. And
were you at Catholic before or after Bobby went there?
After.
Okay.
In fact, Bobby got me in.
Okay.
Took me to the dean.
He says he had sort of found, or at least the story he tells about Catholic is, he talked about how they almost courted him.
He was I'm gonna say close to the dean at that point, the dean of school of music, and which I think had probably some bearing on his treatment there, and he took me personally to the dean's office for my admissions and stuff, and it was after I met. I was not admitted because the dean let me in, but after they accepted me, it was then that I had my first classroom experience.
Which was different than that level.
Absolutely. So I said, no.